Hello and welcome. Today's project is all about 5 reasons why you must avoid Dr. Google. Dr. Google can be a severe habit for a health anxiety sufferer, and it was for me when I used to suffer. I suffered since I was 10 years old, on and off, up into my mid 20s from health anxiety, and then in my mid 20s, it got severely worse. And at that point, it was running my life completely. And so Google became this dependent habit of mine, and it never helped me. It didn't help. It only made things worse for me. And I'll get into that in today's video. And so Google, Dr. Google, is like a life preserver. It keeps you floating there, but it doesn't pull you into shore. You want to be pulled into shore. You want to resolve all those underlying issues that are beneath the surface rather than clinging to this dependent habit that's just keeping you floating there out in the domain of the unknown, right? So the 5th reason why you want to avoid Google is because you are filtering in information that you want to see. So when you go on Google, what happens when you type in your symptom? It comes up with some sort of disease, the worst case scenario, and you're already filtering in the information that you expect to have, like cancer, the worst case scenario, because human beings are already tilted towards negative emotions, right? So when you Google it, you see the worst case scenario and then you believe it. But you say to me, Brad, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see cancer. I don't want to see that disease on Google. Well, because you're so hyper vigilant over your symptoms, you've made it top value to you, because where your focus goes, your energy flows towards that, right? And so because you're ruminating over your symptoms continuously, it's of top value to you, right? You're telling yourself, this is important to me, this is a potential threat, and all of my focus is going towards the information that fits with this sort of threat that I'm constantly pursuing or trying to resolve, right? That I'm figuring out. And so health anxiety sufferers are already sensitive as it is. So when you go and Google that symptom, what happens? You react with high emotion. Oh my God, I must have that. And part of you is already looking out for that, like I said before, for that worst case scenario. The 4th reason why you want to avoid Google is that Google provides you with unlimited possibilities. So let's look at a health anxiety sufferer. A health anxiety sufferer is already out in the domain of the unknown, right? They're in that uncertainty already. They're out floating there in the ocean. And so they're looking for that order. They're looking for that safety net, right? And when a health anxiety sufferer is floating there and you go on Google, what happens? There are so many links towards that symptom you're ruminating over. There's so many possibilities of what it could be that it sends the health anxiety sufferer further out in the domain of the unknown. Does that make sense? Right. So if you go on Google and you see the symptom could be this thing, this thing, this thing, this thing, or the other hundreds of things, that's going to send you with more anxiety, right? Because the further you go out in the unknown, the worse your anxiety becomes, right? It's like getting lost in the forest, right? The more deeper into the woods you are, the more anxiety that comes about, right? Or the more you spend your time lost, right, the more anxious you become. The 3rd reason why you want to avoid Dr. Google is that it leads to more obsessing, right? So you Google, it could be any one of those hundreds of possibilities, and then all of a sudden it sends you more into the unknown, and then it leads you to more obsessing, right? And so when you first react to that symptom on Google, it could be cancer, it could be that heart disease, it could be that kidney stone, it could be that liver disease, it could be a kidney disease, it could be this digestive issue, whatever it is that you're reacting to, you react to that symptom with high emotion, right? It's like, oh my God, I could have that thing, right? And you take the necessary steps to resolve that thing. You believe it wholeheartedly. I believed I had a urinary tract infection when I used to suffer from health anxiety. I believed I had this heart disease. I believed I had this kidney stone, right? I believed all sorts of things. And so when I would convince myself, okay, I have this thing, I would do what's necessary to resolve the issue. So I would go to the doctor and I would say, doctor, I have this thing. The doctor checks me out all which ways. Brad, you're okay. It's like, I don't feel okay. Then I go get checked again. And then when the issue, that the symptom is not resolved, it sends me more into that obsession, right? And that continues the cycle. And now that I'm obsessing over it, I go on Google again, and what do you know? It could be any one of those other possibilities. And then I attach that possibility back onto the symptom. The second reason why you want to avoid Dr. Google is you become dependent on it, right? It's that obsessive loop that causes this dependency. And so your body becomes the crime scene and you are the detective, right? You're figuring out what this unknown thing could be, but you're not Sherlock Holmes, right? You're bad at it. You're reaching constant dead ends consistently. And so this dead end leads to more obsessing, and then it keeps this obsessive loop going and going and going. And then what do you know? This symptom or this unknown thing becomes top value in your life, and your family, your friends, your work, everything gets put on the back burner, right? And so the symptom continues, and then you Google again to find another link towards the symptom, and then the cycle again repeats. And so the first reason why you should avoid Dr. Google is that, well, it's another issue. It's another issue that's causing you to have this symptom or to experience the sensations you are currently experiencing. That's the first reason. So the issue is coming from somewhere else, trauma or symptom stress, the stress of ruminating over that sensation enhances the sensation, because what happens when you're stressed, what happens when your body is in fear mode, stress mode? Well, there's a lot of cortisol, and then your body becomes tense. Then the digestion is compromised because your body's like, whoa, I don't need to worry about digestion right now. There's a potential threat happening, and so your digestion weakens, and then your heart rate increases because your body needs more blood flow because it's in fight, flight, or freeze mode. And so your body is stressed out. And so you're going to experience a lot of sensations. And so when you ruminate over the sensation, you're causing more stress, and the stress is enhancing the sensation. So you see it's this loop. And when health anxiety sufferers realize they are in fact suffering from health anxiety, it's a big relief to them, because they're no longer so far out in that domain of the uncertainty, right? They're no longer floating so far out in the middle of the ocean. They're more back at shore. They're like, oh, so this is health anxiety, so now I have to figure out what I need to do in order to resolve this health anxiety. So health anxiety can be a great label to put on somebody. So when clients come to me for help and we talk about health anxiety, they're like, oh, you know, it's common. They don't feel like they're this unique person with this unique illness, right? Floating out in the middle of the ocean. And so there's underlying issues at work here. So people suffering from health anxiety, like myself in the past, I had to engage in new habits to lessen my stress, right? So I had to adopt a schedule because people love schedules. You need a schedule. Remember, like I said before, anxiety sufferers need more order. So a schedule is really important. Waking up at the same time and going to bed at the same time, really important. Having, sorry, that was my phone going off there. Having a meditation time, having an exercise time to reduce that stress, calming the body down is really important. So you have to adopt a new lifestyle of new habits that will lessen your anxiety and support this higher self, this higher being that you're consistently striving to be, right? And that's where I'm going to leave you on today's video. Thank you so much for being here. Please leave a like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Did I miss anything? Did any of these resonate with you? And lastly, do not let anxiety define who you are. I will see you on the next video or podcast episode. Bye for now. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and that bell so that whenever a new video of mine appears, you will be one of the first to know. Namaste.